They told us Katt Williams was crazy. They said he lost his mind. But what if everything he's been warning us about for over a decade was real?
I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
One comedian walked away from $100 million because he saw the trap.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress.
Another comedian exposed the so-called secret society on live television.
I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati.
And now, the same names keep coming up. Oprah, Ellen, Diddy, Weinstein, Epstein. All connected, all protected. But here's what nobody is connecting. Katt Williams warned us about all of them years before the arrests, years before the scandals, years before the bodies started dropping. And Hollywood tried to destroy him for it. This is the story they don't want you to hear. For years, the entertainment industry dismissed Katt Williams as erratic, unstable, a washed-up comedian who couldn't stay out of trouble. But here's the thing about Katt Williams. Every single thing he said about Hollywood's dark underbelly has aged like prophecy. He talked about Diddy before the federal raids. He talked about gatekeepers controlling black entertainers before anyone else would touch that subject. He talked about comedians being forced to wear dresses, about secret rituals, about the price of fame. And most importantly, he talked about what happens when you refuse to play the game. The entertainment industry isn't just about talent. It never has been. According to multiple insiders, comedians, actors, and musicians who have spoken out over the years, there's a system in place, a hierarchy. And at the top of that hierarchy sits a small group of executives, producers, and media moguls who decide who gets famous and what they have to give up to get there.
You know, Tarantino was telling us about this old school Hollywood producer who had a bedroom in his office.
Sure.
So you would go into his office, and this is like, in the 60s or whatever. So he had his office, and then he had a whole bedroom in his studio.
Yeah.
Where he would bang all the starlets. Like, if you wanted to be a star, you had to bang that guy. Which is just the deal with the devil that has always been that business.
Did you catch that? The deal with the devil. That phrase keeps coming up again and again when people talk about Hollywood. And it's not just a metaphor anymore. When Katt Williams talks about celebrities selling their souls, most people think he's being dramatic. They think it's hyperbole, a figure of speech. But what if selling your soul isn't about some supernatural contract? What if it's about something far more sinister and far more real? According to multiple sources who have spoken publicly about the entertainment industry, selling your soul means compromising yourself in ways you can never take back. It means being filmed doing things that would destroy your career if they ever came out. It means being controlled through blackmail, through debt, through addiction, and through fear.
Man, like that's
Do you think so that you think is real? So
well, yeah. Not only that, I think that there's sacrifices going on every day in Los Angeles.
Now, Roger Avery isn't some random conspiracy theorist. This is an Academy Award-winning screenwriter, the man who co-wrote Pulp Fiction. And he's on the Joe Rogan Experience casually discussing sacrifices happening in Los Angeles. When the interviewer pressed in on names, listen to what he said.
I don't want to say. I don't want to say names because I don't want to get sued, and I don't want to be dead.
Let that sink in. An Oscar winner is afraid to name names because he doesn't want to end up dead. This is Hollywood in 2024. This is the industry that makes your favorite movies and TV shows. And the people at the top? They operate with complete impunity. Now, let's talk about someone Katt Williams has referenced multiple times, someone who positions herself as the moral compass of American media, someone who built an empire on empowerment and positivity, Oprah Winfrey. Here's what's strange about Oprah. Every single major predator exposed in the last decade, she knew them, she worked with them, she promoted them. Harvey Weinstein? Oprah was photographed with him dozens of times. She called him a friend.
When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution.
That was singer Seal calling out Oprah directly after the Weinstein scandal broke. He posted a meme of Oprah kissing Harvey Weinstein with that caption, and he followed it up with,
"Oh, I forgot. That's right. You'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially young starry-eyed actresses. My bad."
The sarcasm is dripping because everyone in Hollywood knew. And Oprah? She was at the center of it all. But it gets worse. Jeffrey Epstein? Oprah's been photographed with him too. Diddy? She hosted him on her show multiple times, promoted his brand, celebrated his success.
Insane.
He makes R. Kelly look like a decent guy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It is crazy. And meanwhile, the guy was like hanging out with Oprah, hanging out with Obama.
Jay-Z,
everybody.
everyone.
See the pattern? Every time a powerful predator gets exposed, Oprah's face is somewhere in the photo gallery, but somehow she always manages to position herself as part of the solution rather than part of the problem. Katt Williams has been pointing this out for years. He's talked about the gatekeepers in the Black entertainment community. He's talked about how certain people control access to success. And when you look at who controls the narrative in Black media, who decides which comedians get specials, which actors get roles, which stories get told, the same names keep coming up. Now, let's shift to another name Katt Williams has referenced, Ellen DeGeneres. For 2 decades, Ellen was the face of daytime television. The dancing, the celebrity dames, the feel-good interviews, America's sweetheart. But behind the scenes, a very different picture was emerging. In 2020, reports started surfacing about a toxic workplace at The Ellen Show. Employees described an environment of fear, intimidation, and harassment. But that was just the beginning. What really raised eyebrows was what happened to Stephen "Twitch" Boss. Twitch was Ellen's DJ, co-host, and executive producer. He stayed with the show for almost 8 years, right until it ended in 2022. By all accounts, he was successful, beloved, and at the peak of his career. Then, on December 13th, 2022, Stephen "Twitch" Boss took his life. He was 40.
TMZ is reporting when Twitch left his home the day before his suicide, he took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him. The motel manager says he checked in under his own name and never left his room. We also now know that Twitch left a suicide note.
Here's where things get dark. According to some sources online, that suicide note allegedly contained references to Ellen DeGeneres. There are also unverified claims that Twitch possessed compromising evidence involving both Ellen and Diddy. Now, I need to be clear, these claims have not been officially verified, but the timing is incredibly suspicious. And when you look at the connections between Ellen, Diddy, and the broader Hollywood power structure, the questions start piling up. Why did Twitch, a man who appeared to have everything, suddenly end his life with no warning? What did he know? What did he see during those 8 years behind the scenes at one of the biggest shows in television? We may never know the full truth, but Katt Williams has been telling us for years that Hollywood destroys the people who know too much. If you want to understand how the Hollywood machine works, you need to study Dave Chappelle. In 2005, Dave was offered $50 million to continue Chappelle's show. This was the hottest show on television. Dave was at the absolute peak of his career. And he walked away. Not just from the money, he literally fled the country, went to Africa. And when he came back, the media tried to paint him as mentally unstable. But Dave knew exactly what he was doing.
I've been in show business since I was 14. And I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Okay.
When
you say you heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see before, look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through, and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, "They're trying to kill me."
Dave saw the pattern. Whenever a Black entertainer reaches a certain level of success, whenever they're about to cross over to the next plateau, suddenly they're crazy. Suddenly they're having a breakdown. Suddenly the media turns on them. And Dave understood why.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress.
Deliberately put through stress. By who? By the same people offering him $50 million. Dave explained his decision using an analogy that's become legendary.
They put a lump of salt in a hole and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped, he can't get his hand out. Now if he's smart, all he does is let go of the salt. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt.
The salt is the money, the fame, the celebrity. And once you grab it, once you take what they're offering, you're trapped. They own you. Dave Chappelle saw the trap, and he let go of the salt. But here's the part that connects directly to Oprah. When Dave walked away from all that money, Oprah brought him on her show, and instead of trying to understand his perspective, instead of asking about the pressure and manipulation he experienced, she questioned his sanity.
So much bigger than money, though, Dave. It's so much bigger than money.
Oh, no, it was bigger than
Oprah couldn't comprehend why someone would walk away from the machine, because Oprah is the machine. She's one of the date keepers, and when Dave rejected what they were offering, she tried to make him look crazy, just like they did to Mariah, just like they did to Martin, just like they do to everyone who refuses to comply. This is exactly what Katt Williams has been saying. The entertainment industry doesn't just offer you success, it offers you a trap. And if you don't take the trap, they destroy your reputation. If you do take the trap, they own you forever. Now we need to talk about the elephant in the room, the connection that ties all of this together. Jeffrey Epstein. For years, Epstein operated the most sophisticated blackmail operation in modern history. He trafficked young women and children to his private island, he filmed powerful people engaging in horrific acts, and he used that footage to control politicians, businessmen, and yes, entertainment industry figures.
Well, we definitely received substantial evidence that he was involved in trafficking young women and children to the Virgin Islands for a very long period of time through our airport, through his private jet. And then he would, by helicopter or sometimes boat, would then transport them over to Little St. James.
This isn't conspiracy theory. This is the Attorney General of the Virgin Islands describing official evidence from an official investigation. And what they found was terrifying.
Jeffrey Epstein was very good at protecting himself and being secret. The secrecy he was very good at that. And because of his wealth, his power, he was able to do that and secure that. So when you think about it, he owns a private island. That's an island over a mile away from St. Thomas, the main island. And it's out there and it's isolated. He purchases that, right? Then he owns the jet that flew in to the airport. It's under a name of one of the front companies that actually has been named in our complaint, but it's him. He's the member of that LLC. And he owns the helicopter and the boats that took or transported him and the women and children over to the island.
Epstein built a system designed for one purpose: to compromise powerful people and hold that leverage over them forever. The island, the jets, the boats, the isolation, it was all engineered to ensure that once you were there, you couldn't escape. And once you participated in what was happening there, you could never speak out.
Once you get on that island, how do you get off? It's not like a person who's on the island can just say, okay, I'm going to swim to St. Thomas. They can't do that. It's not like a person who's there and needs help that they can sneak away and run outside and flag down a vehicle.
Think about that. Young victims, some of them children, trapped on an island in the middle of the ocean. No escape, no way to call for help, completely at the mercy of their captors. And who was visiting this island? Who was on those flight logs? Politicians, princes, billionaires, and, according to multiple sources, Hollywood executives.
There's a list that's out. Who knows if it's fake? I don't know. It could be a fake list. Who knows? But Chris Tucker's on that list. And they asked Chris Tucker on a podcast, what's up with you being on the list? He didn't do what Jimmy Kimmel said. Jimmy Kimmel said it's a fake list. Who cares what that list says? It's fake.
Right.
Chris Tucker goes, yeah, I did go on that flight, but we went to Africa and I went with a bunch of diplomats. I didn't know who the Epstein guy was.
Chris Tucker confirmed the list was real. He confirmed he was on Epstein's plane. Now, Chris claims he didn't know what Epstein was about. Maybe that's true. Maybe it isn't. But here's what's undeniable. The Epstein operation connected the worlds of politics, finance, and entertainment. These weren't separate circles. They were all part of the same network. And the people who participated, they're still out there, still powerful, still protected.
Did you see the thing in the Epstein files?
Oh, yeah. Like
They
those
ordered-
Epstein files. In fact, I can't believe that, like, everybody just kind of like, oh, okay, and they're moving on with their lives.
Roger Avery is right. The Epstein files came out revealing connections to some of the most powerful people on the planet, and the world just moved on. No mass arrests, no accountability, just business as usual. Why? Because the people on those lists control the media. They control the narrative. They control what stories get told and which ones get buried. This is what Katt Williams means when he talks about selling your soul. Once you're compromised, once they have something on you, you belong to them forever. One of the most chilling aspects of this whole system is how effectively it silences potential whistleblowers. The Attorney General of the Virgin Islands explained exactly how Epstein kept his employees quiet.
There are the non-disclosure agreements that Jeffrey Epstein had all of the employees, if not most of them, sign. Then they had to agree not to disclose any information to law enforcement or anyone else regarding what goes on that island. And even after Jeffrey Epstein's death, those non-disclosure agreements are still in place and still enforced by the estate.
Even after Epstein died, the silencing continues. His estate is still enforcing those NDAs, still threatening people who might speak out, still protecting whatever secrets remain buried. But the NDAs are just one layer. There's also the intimidation that comes from seeing who Epstein was connected to.
When you see someone connected with powerful people who may visit the island or he may be involved with, whether it doesn't have to be here, it could be anywhere in the world, and it's known that these powerful people are his friends and associates. That alone is intimidating to the ordinary citizen who's sitting there and watching this and say, ooh, that does not look good. But could you imagine the reluctance of that person to say, I'm going to come forward, I'm going to tell on that person who's friends with all these powerful people?
This is how the system works. It's not just about legal threats. It's about creating an atmosphere of fear. When you see that the person you might expose is friends with presidents, with media moguls, with law enforcement, you think twice about speaking up. And this same dynamic exists throughout Hollywood.
Don't let your kids get into acting. Do not let your kids get into that.
Joe Rogan said it plainly. Don't let your children near this industry because the industry preys on children. The parents know, the managers know, the agents know, everyone on set knows. But they stay silent because speaking up means ending your career, or worse.
Hollywood managers who manage kids, it's a racket, man.
Did you hear that kid from Stranger
these kids?
Trafficking. That's the word Joe Rogan used, not metaphorically, literally trafficking children for the benefit of predators. And Harvey Weinstein had it built into his actual contract.
Did you see his contract? It was in his contract. The way he had his contract set up was like they had a certain amount of money that he would have to pay if he had a harassment claim against him. It was like...
It was a thing for him.
Yes. Like he had so many claims. That's like first offense was $100,000. Second offense was $250,000. Third offense was $750,000. Fourth offense was $1 million. He had it written into his contract with Miramax.
Harvey Weinstein literally had a payment schedule for sexual harassment claims written into his contract with the Weinstein Company. The company knew. They budgeted for it. They accepted it as a cost of doing business. This is what systemic abuse looks like. It's not hidden, it's institutionalized. Now, Katt Williams isn't the first comedian to warn us about Hollywood's dark side. Richard Pryor was talking about this stuff back in the 1970s and 80s. In resurfaced interviews, Pryor described being taken to Hollywood parties by Flip Wilson, parties that showed him exactly what the industry was really about.
He took me to the parties. He took me to make me understand this is why I don't be around me. And so you seen the orgies, you seen the people that was the stars and the that they was doing, and the smells and the looks in their eyes.
Pryor is describing drug-fueled orgies involving Hollywood's biggest stars, and he's describing being shown this intentionally as a warning about what the industry really is.
I'm walking around holding my cutlasses because you've seen people in states of mind that you never experienced nothing like that. I knew people that got high, but they didn't get high and did that I was seeing.
Richard Pryor, a man famous for his own drug use, was so disturbed by what he saw at these parties that he carried a weapon for protection. And then he describes the power structure.
You know, you had a group of people that painted their fingernails black, what they call Illuminati now. It was some kind of clique then, and in this clique, you know, we wife swap and all this kind of shit. You can f my wife and stand there and watch, and all I seen it. I literally seen all these things.
This was the 1970s, decades before the Epstein scandal, decades before Me Too. And Richard Pryor was describing the same thing that Katt Williams talks about today, a secret society of powerful people engaging in depravity and using it to control each other. In 2014, something strange happened on late-night television. Jim Carrey appeared on a talk show and, completely unprompted, started throwing up hand signs and talking about the Illuminati.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
Oh, you don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right?
The hosts tried to laugh it off, but Jim wasn't joking.
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it.
Now, the mainstream interpretation is that Jim was being his usual zany self, making a joke, being weird for the cameras. But was he? This is the same Jim Carrey who's talked extensively about depression, about the emptiness of fame, about the hollowness of Hollywood success. This is a man who achieved everything the industry promises and found it meaningless. When you look at his comments in that context, they take on a different meaning. Maybe he wasn't joking at all. Maybe, like Katt Williams, he was trying to tell us something using humor as a shield. Joe Rogan described the power dynamics he witnessed firsthand when he first came to Hollywood in the 1990s.
There is an arrogance that some stars had, like particularly in the 90s. When I first came to Hollywood, and this is like really evident for me because I was not a star, but I was on a television show. So I got to be around a lot of stars. And there was a way that some of them would treat you. They would let you know that you are subhuman. You are below them. They would communicate with you in the most disrespectful and dismissive ways.
This is how Hollywood works. There's a clear hierarchy, and those at the top treat those below them as less than human.
weird, like mousy guys that I could like instantly, and they would just be rude to you in a really weird way because they had power. They had power, and then when an executive would come over, they would turn on the charm. They'd be smiling and laughing, and then you would talk to them at the craft service, and they would dismiss you in the shittiest ways.
The same people who abused their power over those below them would immediately growl before those above them. It's a chain of abuse, with each level dominating the one below it. And at the very top, the executives, the producers, the gatekeepers, the people Katt Williams has been warning us about for years. Everything we've discussed about Hollywood, it exists in music, too.
You know what Sturgill Simpson told me? He said the same thing exists in music.
What?
He said in music, there's a bunch of pedos and pederasty
Sure.
in music as well.
The entertainment business all the way through. Music. This was about. This is about music and movies and TV. It's about the whole entertainment business.
Women.
The same predators, the same power dynamics, the same system of control. And when you look at Diddy specifically,
so many horrific accusations involving young singers, like children.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's insane.
He makes R. Kelly look like a decent guy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It is crazy. And meanwhile, the guy was like hanging out with Oprah, hanging out with Obama.
Jay-Z,
everyone.
everyone.
Diddy was connected to everyone. He was at every party, every award show, every major industry event, just like Harvey Weinstein, just like Jeffrey Epstein. And just like them, everyone knew, everyone saw the signs, but everyone stayed silent because he was too powerful to challenge. Until suddenly, he wasn't. So why is all of this coming out now? Why are people finally starting to listen to what Katt Williams has been saying for over a decade? Part of it is timing. The Diddy raids, the Epstein files, each domino that falls makes the next revelation more believable. But there's something else happening too. The control that these gatekeepers once had over information is slipping. In the old days, if Oprah wanted to destroy someone's reputation, she could do it with a single interview. If a studio wanted to blackball an actor, they could make them disappear from the industry entirely. But now, the internet changed everything. Social media, podcasts, YouTube, these platforms allow people like Katt Williams to speak directly to millions without going through the traditional gatekeepers. And the people are listening.
Celebrity is the role. That's the one on the red carpet. You're famous. It's not that you're not a celebrity, but it's not like you're sticking your pinky toe out on the red carpet. And you're not going places people saying, "What are you wearing?"
Right.
You didn't make your life about that. You're not tethered to endorsements and this, that, and the other. You're tethered to yourself, to your journey, to your life, which makes it meaningful.
Dave Chappelle understands the difference between fame and celebrity. Fame is being known for your work. Celebrity is being controlled by the system. Katt Williams has always chosen fame over celebrity. He's spoken his truth even when it cost him opportunities, even when they tried to destroy his reputation, even when they called him crazy. And now, after everything that's come out about Diddy, about Weinstein, about Epstein, people are finally starting to realize that Katt was never crazy. He was the only one telling the truth. Let's step back and look at the pattern. Harvey Weinstein, convicted. Everyone knew about him for decades. Jeffrey Epstein, arrested, then mysteriously died in custody, his client list still largely protected. R. Kelly, convicted. The entire music industry knew what he was doing. Diddy, raided by federal agents, allegations spanning decades. And in every single case, the same names appear in the background, the same gatekeepers, the same network of power.
Epstein, Weinstein, like these guys knew what these extremists liked and provided it, and provided the way for you to to have $1 billion and not create a fantasy island type environment has not existed throughout history.
Right.
These weren't isolated bad actors. They were suppliers. They provided access to power in exchange for compromising material. And the people who used their services, they're still out there, still powerful, still protected. Oprah is still America's favorite talk show host. Ellen stepped away quietly with her fortune intact. The executives who enabled Weinstein for decades are still running studios. The system protected them, and the system is still in place. So where do we go from here? The truth is, the house of cards is starting to fall. Each arrest, each raid, each conviction weakens the wall of silence that's protected these predators for decades.
I think this is a watershed moment. I think this is a moment where no matter what business you work in, there have been women who not only had the disease to please, that's a part of it, but who felt that in order to keep my job, in order to keep my position, in order to keep moving forward, I've got to smile, I've got to look the other way, I got to pretend he didn't say that, I got to pretend he didn't touch me. I think those days are about to be over.
That's Oprah speaking after the Weinstein scandal, talking about how women have been silenced, talking about how things are going to change. But notice what she doesn't talk about. Her own role in the system, her own relationships with these predators, her own decades of silence while she watched it happen. Because that's how the machine works. When one of their own gets exposed, they don't accept responsibility. They reposition themselves as allies to the victims. They distance themselves just enough to avoid the fallout. But people are paying attention now. The connections are being made. The dots are being connected. And Katt Williams? He's been ahead of this story for years. When he talked about Hollywood making comedians wear dresses, people laughed. Now they wonder what he knew. When he talked about gatekeepers controlling black entertainers, people dismissed him. Now they're asking questions about Diddy's role in the industry. When he talked about selling your soul for fame, people thought it was a metaphor. Now they understand it might be terrifyingly literal. The entertainment industry wants you to believe that people like Katt Williams are crazy. They want you to dismiss the warnings, ignore the patterns, and keep consuming their content without asking questions. But the evidence is overwhelming now. From the Hollywood producer with a bedroom in his office to Jeffrey Epstein's island of horrors, from Harvey Weinstein's harassment contracts to Diddy's freak-off parties, from child actors being trafficked by their own managers to NDAs that silence witnesses even after death. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is documented fact.
It is very important that we enforce our laws against human trafficking, against child abuse, against child and sexual exploitation of women. It is important that we do that because if I don't do it as the Attorney General, the top law enforcement person, if we do not do it in the Virgin Islands, then those types of crimes will continue to flourish.
The system only changes when we demand accountability, when we stop protecting powerful predators just because they make content we enjoy, when we listen to the whistleblowers instead of dismissing them as crazy. Katt Williams has been that whistleblower for over a decade. He sacrificed opportunities, dealt with constant attacks on his reputation, and kept speaking the truth anyway. Now, the world is finally catching up to what he's been saying all along. Hollywood has a dark secret, and Katt Williams exposed it years before anyone was ready to listen. The only question now is, how deep does it really go? And who else is about to fall? If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening in the entertainment industry, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories they don't want you to hear. Drop a comment below. Do you think Katt Williams has been right all along? And who do you think will be exposed next? Until next time.